The Pewtercast is sponsored by huntakiller.com, an immersive murder mystery experience like no other. You can save 20% on your first box when you subscribe by using the code Pewtercast at checkout. And we'd like to thank huntakiller.com for their support of the show. Welcome back to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host. Ren Daxt here with me yet again. Ren, it is that time of the week. You and I have given all of our final thoughts on the game and everything happening with the Bucks so far up through week 3. And now it is time for our fellow fans to do the same. They have been sending in iTunes reviews. They've been sending in emails, questions, comments, all those different kinds of things. And we kind of turn the show over to them to get their thoughts and their opinions on what's been happening.
Yes, we do.
I'm pausing here to get the iTunes reviews out because, Ren, we are going to start with iTunes reviews. It's kind of the way we do this. We look at the iTunes reviews. People have been nice enough to send in. We'll get a chance to respond to those, and then we've got some emails we'll get to. Ren, actually have 4 iTunes reviews that came in over the course of this past week. So
we must be getting popular.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we'll see, I guess.
Us. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The first one here says, this is from Douche LaRue. I'll leave it to you to decide if that's a real name or not. But it says, this is quietly becoming the best Bucks pod. It's a 5-star review. It says, with due respect to PN Pod and Bucks Nation, these guys have well thought out takes and will not say something if they don't truly believe it. Warning, it may take a few episodes, but you'll learn to love Ren. There's a method to his insanity.
Okay, thank you. Not sure exactly how I feel to being called insane, but all right. Method to the madness. Mm-hmm. Sure, I'll take it. That's complimentary, and
yes.
It's nice. We talk off air. And
you and Douche? You and Douche talk off air?
Me and you.
You and me? Yeah. We do from time to time.
We talk. And, we look over sort of the landscape of the pods and stuff, and it's like, we'll sit there, are we being biased or, no one has a really better pod than we do,
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying that we're the best, we blow them out of the water, but I would put our pod up against anybody else's.
Sure.
I really would, and I think it would be a fair fight. So.
Right, and the only thing I can hear from our friends James and David over at Locked On is they have a trophy and we don't. So
that's true.
Except we're the ones giving out the trophies, so whatever. But I mean it's and Ren, it's because we always say the sort of litmus test that we use for what we do on this show is what would you and I want to hear as fans?
Right.
Okay, let's make that show. Right. That's sort of the litmus test. We don't do, we try to do stuff that not everybody else is doing, or at least do it in a way that nobody else is doing it. And, we've kind of landed into the niche. So yeah, thanks for that. We try to think out what we say. So, all right, next review. Thank you, Deuce. We appreciate that. Next review comes in from Jax. I'm going to think this is Jack's United fan. Leaves out a few letters there, but it says, my favorite Bucks podcast, 5 stars. It says, very good, informative, and entertaining listen from 2 knowledgeable Bucks fans. Also have some great guest visit and contribute on some shows. As a fellow Bucks fan, I appreciate their passion, devotion, and the good discussion going into and coming out of every game, and then some. Thanks, guys. Keep up the excellent work. Big thumbs up.
Thanks, man. That's nice. It's no lies detected, I guess.
Yeah, right.
That's the best way. No. Yeah. I mean, those are sort of echoing, I guess, sort of the same thing back to back. And we've talked about it before. I don't want to say, it's such a huge commitment, but we started out as just like, not that we're going to turn into Apple, but I feel, but I feel like we just kind of started this, in our garage, and really you started it and you did it for a year and then brought me in. Mm-hmm. And now like it's we're kind of a big deal.
It's kind of grown. Yeah. It's kind of
grown, so. Local celebrities, if you will.
I would love to. Hey, listen, if anyone wants to get an autograph or buy me a beer, or hell, just show up at a restaurant where I'm at sometime. I'd be cool with that, So no, but definitely thank you. And Ren, it's one of those to know that other people value your opinion and that other people value your analysis or find value in it. That's always a cool feeling. And I always say we're all in this together. This is you and I make no bones about it. It's in the name of our show. This is a fan podcast, and we eat, live, and breathe this material. And we do it as part of sharing our fandom. And that is the biggest thing I think and I hope that comes through in our pod. But thank you, Jack's United fan. I think I know who that is. Probably living right here in Jacksonville, where the headquarters of the Pewtercast is. All right. Next iTunes review says, probably the second best Bucks podcast. This is from Joni3 Jones. It is a 5-star review.
Nice.
It says, I've been trying out a few different Bucks podcasts, and you guys are top of the line. You guys can still improve, though. Okay, sign.
All right.
There we go.
Well, we always got to try to get better, right?
We do. We do. We got to finish right. No, but I mean, we do that though. Like we always say, okay, what needs tweaking, what needs changing as we go into every off season and then roll back into the new season. And, so yeah, that's honestly, that's kind of what we talked about in the first and the other two. You mentioned we make the kind of show that we would want to make, and we'd put it up there against anybody else's out there.
Yeah.
And feel comfortable about it. So, to be in top 2, I dig it. I dig it. And there are lots.
I wonder where we need to improve.
Yeah. He doesn't say. Joni Jones, send us an email, pewtercast@gmail.com.
Unless it's about me. If it's about Brett, please send.
All right. Final review that came in this week. This is also a 5-star review from Porky Piggin' with Your Mom. I think that is a real name on a birth certificate. Porky Piggin' with Your Mom says, enjoy the coverage, boys. Says, can you guys work in deeper explanations of what the Bucks are doing on defense? Explain the coverage, number of pass rushers, scheme, etc. Break the film down, if you will. Thanks.
No.
I was wondering, you hadn't seen this one yet. I was wondering how you were going to respond coming out of that.
I messed with it a little bit last year,
mm-hmm.
where I did the DAC stats, and then it just kind of went away, and no one complained or even asked where they went. So.
I actually completely forgot about that until you just said that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm your co-host.
So there are other outlets that do it, and it would just sort of be piling on or taking the shine off them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Real Bucks Talk has been doing it before they even had a pod. They were breaking it down on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Shea, who works for Barstool Sports, he's been breaking down Bucks film for 5-6 years now.
Right.
Right. And even national guys come across my timeline all the time that break down certain plays because other fans will see it and like it or retweet it, and I follow them,
mm-hmm.
and it pops up. So if that's what you're looking for, then those are some places to go. It's so hard because we don't really know what the defense or the offense is supposed to be doing on that certain play.
Right.
So basically all we'd be doing is hey, you know who else who does it? The Bucks Observer, the husband and wife team.
Yep.
They put out a video on YouTube,
mm-hmm.
and it's not really a breakdown. It's just there's plays that he picks out that he likes,
mm-hmm.
And it's nice production value. He's got the little circle graph, and he's watch this, and he'll show it 2 or 3 times, and
mm-hmm.
So that stuff is out there.
And you know what I love about that, Ren, is I harp on this all the time. What Real Bucks Talk does, what Stephen Shea does, what Bucks Observer does, and then I'll even throw Trevor Sikkema's name into that.
Oh, yeah.
With his Cover 3 article that he pulls out every week as well. They're all breaking down film. They're all doing it in a different and unique way.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, they're going to do it better than what I would be able to do. But the other thing too is, with our recording schedule, when we record, the all 22 film would only have been out for a couple of hours before you and I actually get a chance to record. And to be quite honest,
I have a job.
Just don't have time. Yeah. I've got a family. I've got a job. And we just don't. And it's just not part of the brand that we do. But as you say, all those other guys are great guys to follow. So thanks for following us. We kind of have this, and that's not to say we'll never look at film and bring that into the discussion, but that's not going to be the
we're not going to base the show
of our
around
film.
it.
Yeah. That's not going to be the brand. But once again, thank you for the 5 stars. We definitely appreciate it. And those are some other guys to go check out if you'd like that. So, very long-winded way of saying no. But thanks for the review. Hey, listen, if you guys would like to leave us a review, we will read it on an upcoming episode of the Pewtercast. All you do is go over to Apple Podcast or iTunes or whatever you're going to call it. Click the ratings and review tab. leave us a rating, leave us a review. It'll pop up in our feed as soon as we see it, and we'll do it on the next episode of the Pewtercast for the Fan Interaction Show. So you guys go over there and listen. When you do that, really the biggest thing that does, and thank you so much to everybody who has done that. We have over 128 reviews now, Ren. I don't know, it's a bunch. For every single one of you guys who've done it, thank you so much. It really, what it does is it helps us populate a little higher when people are searching for Bucks content. So we definitely appreciate that. All right, Ren, you ready to get into some emails? Because we got a few coming off of this game.
What's a few?
A couple, a handful, a smidgen.
How many?
More than a smidgen. We have 7. We have 7 emails to get through tonight. Some smaller than others. And actually, one comes in before the game. We'll start with this one. It's from our friend Alex. He says, "Hey,
7?
Huh?
7?
There's 7. Yeah.
This is okay.
What?
It was such a heartbreaking, gut punching game. I'm not sure if, even though we just listened to TJ and it was like, okay, I feel better. I'm not sure that I really want to listen to 7 emails. Oh God, about people. But this is why we're here. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm rethinking it. Okay, this is why we're here. All right.
Yes. Remember what they said? It takes a little bit to get used to Ren.
Insanity.
All right. This comes from our friend Alex from Daytona Beach. He actually sent this in before the game. He said, "Hey guys, I'm listening to you talk with Greg Allman from our last episode, and I share your concerns about MJ Stewart and think Ryan Smith will take over nickel once he returns from suspension." I guess we did talk about that earlier, Ren. Also, on another note, only 2 weeks in, but I'm hearing a lot of positives about Alex Kappa. Do you guys feel like he is holding his own at this point? Definitely better than Beninock, I can tell. Ren, what do you think? Alex Kappa?
Well, I think Alex Kappa sort of falls into what a lot of people say in the cliches about offensive linemen. When you don't hear their name, then they're doing their job.
Right.
And I don't think I can't remember hearing Alex Kappa's name all year. Like, I don't know if there's been a penalty against him, like a holding call or a false start or so the less I hear about Alex Kappa, I guess the better he's doing.
Right. So I did go back and rewatch this game because as TJ mentioned in our last episode, I think he mentioned in our last episode, it's a different game watching it live than getting to watch it on TV, and I really, I hated to have to relive it, but I really wanted to get a chance and go back and look at some of the things again. And I very much specifically looked at Alex Kappa, throughout this game, and I was watching him, and here's the deal. He was holding his own on a lot of plays. On some plays, he had some help from Ryan Jensen. Other plays, he looked lost. And some plays, like, he just got destroyed on. And I think I said this, I don't know if it was after the Carolina game or maybe after the 49ers game. It's really like his rookie year was a redshirt year, and he's back to being a rookie. Like he's fine. He's holding his own. He can play the spot. But he's not perfect yet. Like, he's going to get there. Like, I have all the confidence in him in the world with what he's going to do. I like his attitude. I mean, he's a little bit of a, I don't want to say the word mauler. I don't think that's quite right just yet, but
SOB.
Yeah. But I mean, you'll see him every once in a while. He'll take a little shot at somebody, as the play is winding down or something like that. But, yeah, I think he's doing okay. I think he is developing at an appropriate pace. It's probably the best way to say that.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. I think we actually have a second email from Alex coming up here in just a few minutes. But for right now, we are going to move on to Mark. Mark writes in, he says, "I just stumbled across your podcast after the Carolina game and thoroughly enjoyed it. Your interview with Greg Allman was especially intriguing. My only suggestions to an already good podcast would be to enjoy a breakdown of really good or turning point play. For example, what did you see with the defensive scheme on that 4th and goal stop? Or was the holding call against Davis justified or not? I really appreciate the chance to hear different perspectives." This, of course, is actually talking about the Carolina game. Ren, I'll put it to you. I know we just said a few minutes ago we're not breaking down film or anything, but was there a specific play that you felt was like a key play to this last game, the Giants game, that might have been a turning point one way or the other?
Yeah, one of like 19 of them. I mean,
okay.
we do that when we talk, sort of our interview show. What do we call that? Final thoughts.
It's our final thoughts show with whoever our guest is the week.
Yeah, we do that. I know, and a lot of it also comes from the Instacast. Like, we'll talk about, I know I talked about how Edwards took a bad angle. I passed with TJ. I talked about how it was Edwards' job to stop, Barkley, and he did a good job on that.
Mm-hmm.
But, as far as looking at a play and saying, like, I can tell when Vea made the twist and Sue didn't, and the C's opened up and Daniels ran it for the winning score. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know something happened there.
Right.
But I don't know. Like,
right.
You have to wait till you hear the coach's thing. So,
something happened. You just don't know what it was.
Yeah. Something broke, but I don't know whose fault, who to point the finger at. But I'm not going to take a play, and so we'll say the Ingram touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to go, what Todd Bowles should have done here should have run man instead of zone, or should have run zone instead of man, or if he would have, because by then it's too late.
Right.
If I'm not going to take where they say we'll take the play where Barkley hurt himself, where, Edwards came out, made a good tackle. He got like 2 yards total.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to pick apart that play and be like, well, this is what would have happened. And it's a cast I did sort of break down that Cam Brate, screen pass where he was like, sidecar left in the halfback. So we do that type of stuff. But it's just kind of not, we don't break down film, but, and it's very rare that a game comes down to like just one play, and especially that Giants game. I mean, we could have, there was tons of plays in the first half we could have talked about for the Bucs, offensively and defensively, especially defensively in the fourth quarter,
Mm-hmm.
the Daniel Jones play, the field goal, the one to Evans, or the one to Godwin. Now, here's a perfect example why we don't do this a lot. And I'm not going to say their names, but
Mm-hmm.
I saw this clip today, and it says, here you should have thrown to O.J. Howard. It could have been a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what happens was Evans went deep. Godwin went deep. I don't know who the other receivers are. They all like went around 20 yards down the field.
Mm-hmm.
And Godwin curled in to right around the logo. Jameis hit him. Howard broke off, became the safety outlet late.
Right.
And there was no one guarding Howard. And the closest person to Howard was probably Chris Godwin, who was another 15 yards down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You look at that. You're like, yeah, you should have thrown it to Howard. But you know what play that was? That was the play right before the Mike Evans bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not looking to check down there.
Right.
They're trying to get the ball down the field as fast as possible because there's like less than a minute on the clock.
Right.
So the play the throw to Howard wasn't the play. If you look at it out of context, because the tweet didn't have it in there, it didn't say, when it was. It was just like, look how open Howard is. Jameis should have hit him. That's what I'm talking about when like I don't know what they were thinking. And if you don't go through that whole stuff, then it's sort of taking things out of context. So I understand what you're asking, and we do it. But we really are not looking to go into the X's and O's of every play because we just don't know what the call was offensive and defensively. And if you make that leap, I just, I'm happy to let other people do it.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I just they're not 100% right all the time. It's their opinion of what they should have done.
Right. Now, I'll take something that maybe wasn't necessarily a particular play, but we didn't talk about it on the last episode, so I want to take this opportunity now. We talk about where they took the delay of game penalty there at the end and wound up moving the kickback.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people criticizing Bruce Arians and those guys for doing that, but I was trying to put myself in that position. You sit there and you're the coach, right? You have one timeout. It's 4 seconds left in the game or whatever it is, and you look up and you see that you're about to take a delay of game penalty. You're probably at 3 seconds at that point, 2 seconds, and in your head you're just trying to process like real fast, like, oh, do I take a timeout here or not? Yeah, let's just let him back it up. Like, it's not I think a lot of people are making a much bigger deal out of that than probably what they ought to. Like,
I think people are okay with it now. What really set people off was Bruce Arians' original reason why.
Right, which is where he said because he has a little bugaboo. It's easier to make it from further away.
No. After the game, he said, yeah, I took that on purpose. And everyone's like, why the hell would you take it on purpose? And then he came out the next, Monday and said, look, this is what I mean. Let's face it. What happened was they made a late decision, and when they ran their field goal unit out there, when they substituted, like they made, okay, what should we do? What are we going to do? And then when they finally decide to do, they substituted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they substitute, the defense gets to substitute.
Right.
So the Bucs had their guys out there ready to hike the ball and ready to go and had a plan, but by rule, they have to let the defense have a chance to substitute.
Right.
So the referee's standing over the ball, and you look up, and now since you made that late decision, like you said, there's 4 seconds left on the clock. So it's like, okay, we're going to get a delay a game here because we took too long deciding what we're going to do after the kneel down.
Right.
What are we going to do? And it's like, well, I want to have the timeout because if it's a bad snap and it goes over, Pinion's head and Gay falls on it, you can't line back up in time and kick it.
Right.
That's why he was saving the timeout.
Right.
And it's like, well, hell, I trust my kicker. Okay, my bad. But really, what's the difference between, a 24 or like what would have been a 29-yarder or a 34-yarder?
Right.
He's going to make it either way. That's what happened. And when he explained it Monday, everyone was like, oh, okay, I understand it.
Right.
I don't like it, but it's a lot better than, I took it on purpose because, it was too close.
Exactly.
That crap that he gave us.
Right. Right.
After the game.
And that's what I'm saying. Like when you're sitting there in that moment and you have to make this decision, like that, and then you're looking back on it 20 minutes later or 10 minutes later, your explanation may not be as thorough as your next. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy. I'm just trying to figure out what happened,
Yeah.
And people I continually see people crucifying him over this. And I think people are just making a much bigger deal out of that than they are, because you sit there and you go, you have a half a second to make a decision. Do I take the penalty or do I call a timeout? Just take the penalty. We'll go back 5 yards. He's better a little further back anyway. Or we'll save it. It's not hey guys, we got a plan. And what we're going to do is we're going to go out and just stand there and take the delay of game so that we can back it up. Like, this wasn't something that they practiced. This was it was just a half of a second decision. Was it the right decision, wrong decision? Well, we can look back on it now and think it was probably the wrong decision, because had they actually been 5 yards in, that probably, if the trajectory and everything else was still the same, it would have been on the inside of the goalpost instead of the outside.
Right. But if he takes the timeout and the snap and Pinion fumbles the snap, he has to fall on it.
Right.
Then they can't line back up, and it's like, well, why didn't you just take the delay of game? What's the difference between 29 and 34? Exactly.
So, but anyway, that would be a perspective, Mark, that I would have on a deal. So that we didn't talk about in the previous episode. Mark continues though. He says, you guys also talked about OJ Howard. Do you think that adding to the scrutiny he is getting is because we saw what Tanner Hudson did in the preseason? No, Hudson should not start for Howard, but he did show you what the tight end could add to our passing game, and we did just keep 4. Just my thoughts, and would be interested in yours. We'll be listening in the future, Mark from North Carolina.
Well, thanks for listening, Mark in North Carolina. I wonder how he stumbled across us.
Because other people left us iTunes reviews, and he was searching for Bucks Podcast, and it populated higher in the thing. That's
there you
how
go.
It happened.
No, the scrutiny about OJ Howard is because mostly, and right or wrong, there's 2 reasons. One, Bucks fans think that he can be one of the best tight ends in the league. We like to say he is right now, but he doesn't have the numbers, can't stay healthy, or hasn't been healthy the first 2 years. He's missed games, and it's kind of like, when's this guy going to sort of be, the Kelsey in Kansas City,
right?
Or when's he going to turn into the Kittle of San Francisco? Like he's a better athlete, bigger, stronger, faster than those guys, wins the time. And then he gets off to a slow start, and the people that you follow through social media are Bucks fans.
Right.
And Bucks fans drafted OJ Howard in fantasy football.
Yes, I did. On both my teams.
And I'm sure you were one of those people like, what the hell?
Right.
Throw the ball to OJ Howard.
Right.
So that's, Byron Leftwich said after the Carolina game where, Howard did get 1 target, but since it was, a penalty, it didn't show up on the stat sheet. It's like the ball just didn't find him. And, and I think Bruce Arians said it this week. It was just a better matchup for Howard this week. That's why the ball found him. It was a better matchup for Mike. That's why the ball found him against the Giants, So that's just how it goes. I don't think it has anything to do with Tanner Hudson. I think it has more to do with what Buccaneer fans expect and hope OJ Howard to be, and he just got off to almost the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, I mean, his specific question is about the scrutiny that he's facing, and while I don't know that it necessarily is because what we saw Tanner Hudson do, I do think a lot of it is built into the scrutiny is built into the hype around OJ Howard himself.
Yeah.
Being that first round pick, he dropped. He said he dropped all the way to 19. We were lucky to get him, and
that was a good draft, man.
Yeah, and we're waiting. We're still waiting on him to really show up and just take off. And like a lot of things, we thought this would be the year, and he's not. So anytime you have, these are our expectations, and then OJ commits the crime of not meeting our expectations, or any player, if you don't meet my expectations, that's going to be a lot of scrutiny. So I think that's mostly where that comes from. I can't imagine too many fully functioning Buccaneers fans actually thinking about the idea of replacing OJ Howard with Tanner Hudson.
Duh.
Right. Exactly what Mark said. All right, Mark, thank you so much for your email. Next email comes in. This is our second one from Alex, which is following up with the Giants game. Alex says, guys, there are bad losses like last year's Chicago debacle where we just owned every aspect of the game. And then there are soul-sucking losses where I feel the positive energy of thinking we got this game in the bag turn into the agony of defeat. Those are so much worse for my mental health. We outrushed them. We outpassed them. We had less penalties. We had less turnovers. We had more sacks, and we lost. The last time I remember being this devastated over a Bucs loss was 2003 when Peyton Manning brought the Colts back from a 21-point deficit to win the game in the fourth. Ren, do you remember that game?
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't. So
Monday night game too.
Was it a Monday night game?
Yeah.
They
at home.
I think I was overseas in that time, so things were a little bit of a blur for me in my fandom at that point. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people out there can remember that time. He says, I counted at least 3 sacks missed out by our team, and then other than Matt Gay, the only other area I could think of even pointing a finger is at the front seven for not pass rushing well enough.
What?
Let me continue. He says, other than Shaq Barrett, who should be getting his second Defensive Player of the Week award, once Saquon Barkley left the game, it felt like they had no choice but to throw the ball, and it turned out even better for them. It seemed like Daniel Jones had a lot of time in the pocket to step up and throw the deep ball.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about sort of that third quarter, and the Giants came out on the field and they punched the defense in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Those first 2 drives. But after that, man, they shut them down.
Yeah.
They shut him down till, again, the last drive. And kind of the last drive is sort of a blur to me. Like, I don't remember if there was a big play or really how they got down there or if, like, our defense committed penalties. Like, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I really remember about the Giants' last drive is the James Jones running it in. I have no idea how they got down there. I just don't remember. So, no, I mean, if you get 4 sacks in a game, that's really good.
Right.
So obviously you had the pressure. And then we had 2 fumbles. Didn't we recover 2 fumbles?
I want to say that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand I think I know what he's saying is like, if they're not going to run the ball, we should just be teeing off on this guy, which I think they tried and they did, but you got to give a little credit to the Giants offensive line. The Giants offensive line is pretty legit. Like they're not, the Seahawks or the Cardinals, that they've got a good offensive line. So, I'm going to disagree with you there. Yeah, I thought the front seven played well, and so did BA because he came out and said it in his presser on Monday.
Alex Kozani says, are Sue, Golston, Villa, and Nassib just better at run stuffing than they are pass rushing, or am I just being off? And should it be the defensive backs who need the blame for that second half?
Again, I talked about this, after the TJ interview. It's look, I know everyone's banging on the secondary. I put most of the blame on the safeties. I don't think Vernon or Carlton Davis played particularly bad. It does stink that it seems that every game Carlton Davis seems to get a penalty on third down, after like the team's like walking off the field. Oh, we stopped him. Oh, wait, 5 yards for holding defense, automatic first down.
I remember you saying that. I want to say it was in the instant cast. If Carlton Davis gets one more penalty like that, I'm going to have kittens, or I don't know what you said, but yeah, you were not happy about it.
I'm going to go to the store and buy a bunch of cookies.
I'm going to sit here and not do anything about it, but I'll send a really mean tweet.
Yeah, I'll think negative thoughts about Carlton Davis for like 5 minutes. I just don't think that the corners had a really bad game. I put, if you're going to put the loss on anybody, it's got to be on the safeties, in my opinion. And like you said, are you just off about the pass rush? I do believe you're just off. I think that, those 2 drives, again, the first half, the Bucs had a really hard time getting off the field in third down.
Right.
The second half, they got punched in the mouth on those 2 drives. One was a one-play, flash in the pan, 85-yard touchdown.
Right.
The other one, they had them stop and were off the field, and a penalty gave them the first down. And then they hit a deep ball, and then they punched it in. And then after that, that's when the pressure came. There was pressure. I said that on Instacast. Daniel Jones, I'm not sure if he has great pocket awareness or he is oblivious, has no idea anybody's around him. Like, he is one of the two.
Right.
He did not notice the pressure at all. And that's probably why he fumbled twice. But, it just, the more I talk about it, I'm still at this kind of the same point I was at Instacast. Like, I don't know how we lost this game.
Yeah.
Because the defense didn't play bad. The offense didn't play. He labeled it out. More turnovers, less penalties, 144 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns by Mike Evans,
more
300 yards passing.
More, yeah.
You're just like, how did we lose? And it doesn't even matter if the Giants. I don't care who you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots, the Chiefs, like whoever, you have that type of game. Like, you're like, how? And I watched it, and I still don't know how.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking down the stat line right here, and we were better with them in every single category except for the red zone. They were 3 for 4. We were 1 for 5. And then the score, the actual points.
And then the one that matters.
Yeah, I mean that's, and turns out you get points a lot of times based on what you do in the red zone. So Alex has a good question here. And I actually have thoughts about this that I didn't get to talk about in the last episode. He said, is it me or did we go extremely conservative in the third quarter? And I remember that. I remember in the third quarter, it was just like run. I mean, a lot of running. And I sat there and I thought to myself, Ren, and I don't know if this is just I don't know if this is what they were doing or if this was whatever. So you tell me. I was like, okay, they come out in the third quarter. They got a whole half of football to play, but we're up 18 points.
Right.
Now, I don't know if this is going conservative or if this is what, but I was sitting there kind of going, this is the point in the game where they're trying to chew up the clock.
Yeah.
Like, they're starting now. This isn't getting to the fourth quarter and trying to run out the clock. Like, they're starting now. Like, eat the clock.
They're not trying to run out the clock. They're trying to shorten the game.
Yeah.
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 There's a little different. I know that sounds like I'm nitpicking, but run out the clock kind of seems like you're not playing to win.
Right.
And shorten the game just sounds more like you're calling your offense differently strategically.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what it seemed to me. All right. He finishes up. Yeah. He says, it's early in the season. I'll get over this loss by the end of the week, but I might need to skip a game or two just to reduce my stress levels.
That is some stress levels. But yeah, I talked about it with TJ. It's like it's the MO that we've seen all 3 games for Byron Leftwich. Uh-huh. They've gone run heavy late in games every single week.
Right.
One time they were losing and they did it. One time they were winning and they did it. And the second time they were winning and they did it. And it was successful. I even said after Panthers game, like, you might have went to the well once too often. Mm-hmm. And then you could say the same thing for this game when it was like, on the 7 or 8 and it was 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 4 or something, 3rd and 2, I think it was, and Barber got stuffed. It was just, these are the things that they're going to have to work out with a new offensive coordinator, new offense with the quarterback, and they'll find their stride. I don't think that the Bucs can't execute. It's just going to be a little more of, when you just switch it up and sort of pull the trigger.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
All right. Well, Alex, thank you for your double emails this week. Our next email comes in to us from our friend Gerald. Gerald is the guy, Ren, you might remember last week said that he broke the primetime curse by betting against the Bucs.
Yes.
Remember him? All right. Gerald says, hey, Brent and Ren, I should have bet again against the Bucs in order for the Bucs to win, so you can blame me for this loss.
All right.
We
Thanks,
will.
Gerald. Next email.
Another Gerald to blame the loss on. I'm not going there. All right. He says, all kidding aside, it is sad to say that I am used to these kinds of losses. I had a terrible feeling after the running play on 3rd and 2 near the goal line on the second to last possession that we were calling plays not to win. What happened to no risk it, no biscuit?
Okay. I want to address this because it's also something I've thought about, and I can't believe I forgot it till now. 49ers game, fourth and 2 or something. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was 4th and goal. A field goal would have added points, right? Mm-hmm. Bucs go for it. Jameis is late with the ball. Ball gets batted down. The media go, what are you doing? There's no risk it or no biscuit thing's going to backfire in your face. You should have took the field goal. You get those points. Then they start playing the timeline game. Because if you would have kicked the field goal and this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, you would have won the game. Now here we are. Fast forward 2 weeks later, 3rd and 2. you kick the field goal, you make them have to score a touchdown extra point to win the game.
Right.
And they do that, and now it's, why didn't you go for it?
Where's your risk getting arrested? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't think anyone's sort of thought about that as, the media's like jumped all over him for going for it when they should, when they felt he should have kicked the field goal because, hey, you didn't make it after the fact. Now it's here where he kicks the field goal, almost the same exact situation, and they're jumping on him for not going for it.
Right. Well, it's the same thing as, it's hindsight, right? Like, you're judging somebody's decision based on the result, not based on the same amount of information you had at the time that person was making the decision.
Yeah.
And, in that situation, okay, it's, do you kick the field goal or do you go for it? I don't want to say that's a 50-50 decision because 90% of the time you probably actually just kick the field goal, take the points and move on.
Yeah.
But I always hate the going back and saying, oh, well, what, now that we know how everything played out, like take that, remember that O.J. Howard play you were just breaking down for us a few minutes ago? About, you should have hit O.J. Howard because he was wide open over here.
Yeah.
Well, okay. First of all, it doesn't do us any good to go back and do that right now and say, oh, you should have hit this guy over here, should have hit this guy over here. Okay. What can we do about it? Like, how about more, hey, what were you seeing out there? Did you see OJ? Did you even notice that he was available? Why didn't, you know what I mean? Rather than just declaratively saying, you should have done this. That's what any thinking man would have done.
There was a lot of that going around.
Sure. You should have done this because this is what you should have done. And you go,
there was a lot of that going around.
Okay. Well, you're not the person on the sideline with the clipboard actually making those calls in that decision, so it just, I don't know. Judging those kinds of decisions based on the result rather than based on the information you had at the time, and look, if you would have done something different, that's fine. Maybe it would have worked out for you, maybe not.
Yeah. It's just unfair.
It is.
But I understand that it's frustrating. And,
sure.
especially if you feel the opposite and then it doesn't work out, that's when you kind of lose it.
Right.
When you're like, you should have went for it on 4th and 2 and they kicked the field goal. See, that's why we lost, because you didn't go for it on 4th and 2. We would have picked it up and then we would have scored a touchdown. And, but you're automatically assuming that.
Right.
But if they would get stuffed on 4th and 2 and didn't get any points, and then the Giants go down and score, and now they're up by, they've been up by 4. Now you have to score a touchdown. How stupid was that?
Right.
You have to score a touchdown. Where if you just kicked the field goal, a field goal would have won the game. And you got down there.
Right.
Couldn't get the end zone, but you got down there, and Matt Gay could easily make a 24-yard field goal.
Sure he could. Except for that one time when he doesn't.
Yeah, so that's
not even on the right hash. It was in the middle. All right. And, okay, listen, I don't mean to bring up an issue with you specifically. So one of the things that you said repeatedly on the Instant Cast was, if you're going to move the ball over, go all the way over to the left hash. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand your thinking with you on that. I really, really do. And I mentioned earlier, I rewatched the game.
Right.
The 5 previous kicks he had made, I don't want to say all 5, at least several of them were from about that distance, right in the middle between the hash marks.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I get what you're saying about, hey, just go ahead and move it all the way over, give yourself the extra room. Except he had just made a bunch of them from right there in that same spot in the middle. And he was splitting the upright. He was going right through the middle of them. You know what I mean? Even that call, even the criticism of just move it all the way over or, stopping right there, I can see why they would have just put it right in the middle, because that's where he's been making them from.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, I get that. And you're right. And it's a little bit of just what we talked about. We just yelled at people for doing.
Right.
But when I saw it, I was at the restaurant going, oh man,
just move it over.
Move it. If you're going to move it over, move it over. And if you come out and say that, hey, he's got a bugaboo from the right hash, left hash, he's fine, then put it on the goddamn left hash.
And I agree with that in theory. The other side of that just being, we just watched him make a bunch from that exact spot. So anyway, moving on with that. All right. Thanks, Gerald, for your email.
Well, guess what, Brent? I saw him miss 3 from that exact spot.
Ooh. Next email comes into us from our friend Atlanta Bucks fan Dan Wren.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, he used to hold it down for us in our Mixler chat room when we had that. Dan, I'm sorry if you missed that. It's just people stopped showing up, so we got rid of it. All right. He says, "What's up, Pewtercast? The Bucks took another piece of my soul this week."
Yep.
The subject of his email today, Ren, by the way, is "Take Another Little Piece of My Heart Now, Baby." If you know that song.
Yeah, don't ever do that again.
He says, the song in your subject line can be the intro music this week. Maybe Faith Hill version to keep the Bucks themeless season with country music superstars.
All right, Chris, let's just...
He is in Atlanta. Yeah. He says, I have a theory that BA did, in fact, take that penalty to put the kicker back in that spot in order to, quote unquote, cure him. You know, kind of like a mind game. Put Gay in a position to overcome and redeem himself, and it just backfired and it bit him in the butt while simultaneously kicking everyone else in the nuts. What do you guys think? Go Bucks.
Well, we just talked about that for about an hour. So, that I think that's for Dan to sort of keep your insanity or your sanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why would he do that? Why would he take a glam? Oh, he's trying to get him over his bugaboo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I moved it to the middle. He's just taking the distance part. Here's a distance one. But it's an extra point, and he's going to get those kicks all the time. So I can understand where you're coming from, wanting to believe in BA and, hope that he's infallible and he's one of those coaches that aren't going to make dumb decisions. But yeah, and now that we found out and heard the presser on Monday, it just doesn't fit. But
yeah. All right. Next email.
Is that it?
No. Two more. Next email comes into us from Chef Aaron. He says, this will be quick because it's my wedding week and craziness and chaos is in the air. Happy wedding, Aaron. Happy wedding.
Man. Congratulations.
Send us where's my invite? Ren, did you get yours?
I did.
Oh, suck. I guess mine got lost in Albuquerque.
I must have made a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Thank you for catching that. Chef says, what we saw was two different teams. One looked unstoppable, and the other was the same old Bucks. In conclusion, this is all in caps, but I'm not going to yell it. How the hell is it possible to have a quarterback throw 380 yards and 3 TDs, a wide receiver have nearly 200 yards and receiving 3Ds, your running back rush for 145 yards and have one over 100 scrimmage yards, and your pass rusher have 4 sacks, and you still freaking lose? This team literally makes the impossible possible. Hashtag, it's a Bucks life.
Yeah, we, talked about it. I don't know, Chef.
It is so head scratching when you look at that. I mean,
yeah.
We won this game in every single way except for the way that you actually win the game.
Yeah.
And that is probably one of the most Bucks things ever.
Yeah.
All right. Final email of the night comes to us from a buddy.
I feel terrible. That's why I didn't want to do this.
I know. Let's talk to TJ again. We felt better after talking to him, right?
TJ, it's 1 a.m. Are you asleep? I know when you called us at 9:45, you said you had to get to bed. It's only a few hours later. Have you made it to bed yet?
Right. Have you got enough sleep? Are you awake now?
Because we need a pep talk.
All right. Comes to us from Chris. He says, Pewter guys, I have a lot to say about this game. Number 1, how is it that the Bucks are always on the wrong end of history? I've been a Bucks fan for 22 years and have seen these types of games where the Bucks just can't hold on to an 18-point lead. The famous Peyton Manning coming back from a 35-point deficit. I guess my point, what I remember more than that is I think Scott Reynolds termed it the debacle and the collapse at the Capitol or whatever that was.
It was at home.
The Kirk Cousins game.
No.
How do you like it
that's
game?
That's a Redskins game.
The Redskins game. Yeah.
No,
that's the one I remember as far as being a big oh my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah, you like that? Got a meme out of it. Everything.
Yeah. I heard people referencing that game. I was watching the Redskins game the other day, a little bit of it, and they referenced that game in the booth. That was you like that game. He says, I mean, no matter who the coaches and players are, this always seems to happen. I saw Vinny Testaverde come out of retirement and play with the Bucks and beat them. Number 2, this leads me to my next question. Actually, I think it'd be his first question. It's his next question. His first question was, how is it they're always on the wrong end of history? I don't know, Chris. I really don't know. Number 2, leads me to my next question. Is it advantageous to have a quarterback that teams don't have film on other than in preseason?
It's so debatable. It depends on how the quarterback is, and it depends on how good the coaching staff is. To be able to put that quarterback in to position to not have to, not have to take it all on himself. Mm-hmm. And that's why rookie quarterbacks usually fail, because their offensive line is usually pretty crappy. Because if you had a pretty good offensive line, then, it's really, we look at the NFL and you see these quarterbacks are like, oh, that guy's trash, blah, blah, blah. Like, these are the best 32 people at their jobs walking the face of the planet.
Right.
But some of them are just so much better at it. you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's really hard to sort of find any other occupation where there's a discrepancy between like the top 5 or 10 and the last 5 or 10 in the best 32. Like if you went and found the best 32 heart surgeons in the world, do you think there's going to be that much of a discrepancy between them?
You wouldn't think so.
No. Or the best 32 Caterpillar drivers.
Now that's such precision work. I mean,
right.
Unlike heart surgery, Caterpillar driving is precision work.
So what I'm saying is like all these guys are good.
Right.
Now, and if, the Barkley was going to help him, a tight end always helps, a quarterback and the offensive line. And that's what helped. I mean, he got banged around. He got so lucky. Like he would get hit on the arm. Vea would hit the guy on the arm and he'd like short arm it and the ball would be like right on target. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what would have happened if Vea didn't touch him? Would he have thrown it like 5 yards short? Like
right.
it was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So there's something to that. I think what adds to it is if it's the first time you're seeing him and they have above average mobility, because that can really save a quarterback, when things start to fall apart and you can scramble out and keep the chains moving and stuff like that. But, his accuracy and, not seeing, I don't know if he doesn't see the pass rush or he's just laser focused down the field. Like quarterback always looks down the field, trust my offensive lineman, I won't get hit. Like, I don't know which one, or he just doesn't see it. He's either got the worst pocket presence in the league, or he's fearless, or he's both. He's fearless and the worst.
Right.
But his accuracy in that game is what shocked me the most, and it was just like you just read the stats. Like,
yeah,
I want to be able to say that it's a little bit of that. We should overcome it because you should. But if you have a good game plan, you got the players around to put it together, then like I don't have the stats, but I'm sure there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that won their first game. Tyler Murray tied his.
There you go.
And the team around him's terrible.
Right. All right, question number 3. How does the coach approach Jameis Winston this week? He did everything you could possibly ask and still lost. You win the turnover battle, running backs rush for over 100 yards. Defense has 5 sacks and 2 turnovers. Winston gets the ball in position for the game-winning kick, and this team just can't find a way to win these close games consistently. For those saying Jameis Winston lost this game or BA or Byron doesn't have faith in GA, shame on you. 100% of coaches take that field goal in that situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was there a question there?
Yeah, it was how do you approach Jameis Winston this week?
Sorry.
What do you say to a guy when he is not the reason that we lost? And Ren, you said that. We said that about Jameis Winston. Like that was one of the things for people's psyche was if the Bucs lose, it doesn't need to be Jameis Winston's fault.
It can't.
This one was not Jameis Winston's fault.
No, it wasn't. So what do you say? You don't say anything. Like Jameis, he understands this. Yeah. Like this is nothing new to him. Mm-hmm. Like the defense giving up a big lead or can't hold the lead, and then the kicker missing. Like, this is nothing new. He's seen this movie a lot. Mm-hmm. You don't say anything to him. He knows it. Like just get back. Honestly, you just take one of his lines out of his pressers. He's got to get back to work. Forget about it. Learn from it. Get back to work. Right. That's what you do. He's not going to be all sad. He's incapable of not being upbeat and positive. That this loss is not going to crush him. He's just not going to let it. That's just how he's been programmed or how he's lived his life forever. He's been playing football forever. He's heard all the cliches. He's heard all the speeches. He knows what to do, and he'll be fine.
Yeah. His next question, Ren, we've actually already kind of covered it. Speaking of that, in the last drive, how did the Bucs get flagged for delay of game if the Giants were still substituting players and the ref was standing over the ball? We already covered that, right?
Yep.
We made the decision late. They still had the right to do it, and that's how it works.
Yeah, I just don't really understand how that's fair.
How that's a rule? Yeah.
No, I understand how it's a rule because I think if the offense substitutes and the defense should get a chance to, because what would happen was, the offense would go no huddle, right?
Right.
And wait till the defense sets up, and then with like 10 seconds left, run guys on or run guys off, and the defense is like, okay, I'm not even sure who's on the field, so how can you counter?
Right.
So you have to give them the chance to substitute. But that's why you have to
can't stop the play clock.
Yeah, you can't stop
the play clock to let them, because that would, oh my God, the confusion on that. No, I understand. It's just how it works. Make your decision sooner is really the answer to that.
Yeah.
He goes on, number 5, I don't really think this loss will affect the team for the entire season. No, it won't. As soon as they get a win, this will move back. You know how this loss will affect them for the entire season? If they go 9-7 and they hit a tiebreaker to get into the wild card spot. That's where this game begins to affect us. But he said BA, when he was with the Cardinals, he went 4-4 before they took off in the second half of the season and finished 7-1 or maybe 6-2. So I mean, I think this goes back to what I was saying of we have a 3-game sample size so far.
Right.
We need more. You can't let this blow everything up and make your final decisions on everything now. We need more information. We just don't have enough info, enough data points. Not yet. And number 6, he finishes up. I am honestly tired of talking about this game. It is time to move on and get a win against the Rams. And for all of Bucs Nation, we all say collectively in one unified voice, amen.
Yeah, amen to that, brother.
And Ren, that is going to finish up this show. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Let's move on. All right, Ren, our next show is going to be our Buck in the News show. That's where we're going to take all the headlines from this week. We'll actually get a chance to talk about those. We'll look at the roster transactions, which apparently there was a few already, and we'll be taking a look at injury reports as we look towards this Rams game coming up this weekend. With that, Ren, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you on the internet?
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
You did it again.
I did do it again.
If you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And you can find the show at The Pewtercast on Twitter and on Facebook. Email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. We will read that email on an upcoming episode of The Pewtercast. iTunes reviews, ratings, and reviews. I'd also like to give a special thank you to our patrons who have been so diligently supporting the show. Thank you, guys. If you'd like to find out how you can support the show directly, head over to patreon.com/The Pewtercast. You guys can jump in over there and join us there as well too. Well, Ren, that's going to do it for us for tonight. Like I said, we'll be back in just a little bit Saturday morning with our Buck in the News show, so you guys be on the lookout for that. And then we'll be back on Sunday night, Ren, fully powered up for the Instant Cast, provided all
taking calls.
We'll be live on YouTube. You and I will both be there this time, and that should be the way it is for the rest of the season. So Ren, with that, until next time, we'll close the show out as always. Go Bucks!